Okay, I believe I could generate billions of prompts for Midjourney. So create billions of different painting generators, because each prompt can make a variety of paintings. But what we want is a prompt that works, right? If you have a good prompt that creates good art that you like, right?
Yeah.
Then that prompt is proven. Like you can try it multiple times. If you if you try the same prompt multiple times and you like what you're getting. Anyway, here this is like trying that prompt 4 times because here's 4 variations. So you're seeing what you get. If you increase chaos, then they're going to vary from each other more. They're going to have a higher variance to each other from each other, right? More degrees of variation between each other. And if you lower the chaos, then they'll have a smaller amount of variation between them, right? So anyway, you can try the same prompt multiple times. If you like all 4, that's an indication that you like the output from that prompt,
Yeah.
right? And you could try it with different seed numbers. But anyway, every time you try that same prompt, like re-roll this, then you're going to get more of them, right? And I'm in remix mode. That's why that thing popped up there, so I could edit the prompt at the time when I do this. But if we don't want that, if you want to go faster, then turn off remix mode. So I'll do that there. Okay, so yeah, here's an idea, right? We generate the prompts. You can write the prompts yourself. You can have ChatGPT write the prompts and rewrite them in different styles. So part of this is an example here. What you see, these grids, these outputs, these are variations using ChatGPT rewriting the prompt in different styles. That's what we have. Actually, maybe not back here, but at a certain point in the most recent stuff there. Because before that, yeah, at a certain point before this, I was doing it a different way, right? But at a point here, I was using ChatGPT as an experiment. So if we like the output, then we might like that prompt, right? And we can re-roll it. Okay, so this is this one here, for example. So I'll re-roll that prompt. So I can just click the re-roll button over and over. That's with remix mode turned off, right? So it's quick and easy, just takes a click, but you still have to wait a second or so, or at least I do here. But another way would be to copy that prompt there, the full command, and then go imagine and add in the repeat command or the repeat argument at the end. Dash dash repeat and the number of times you want to repeat, so like 10, if that's what I want to do. So I'll try that and I'll say yes. There. So now that's re-rolling that same one 10 times. So then you'll see what you get late when you check back a little bit later, 3 or 4 minutes later, because it can do 3 at a time and it takes a minute to do each. So it'll take 3 or 4 minutes usually to do 10. So then you can come back later and just refresh this page, your profile, on grids, and you'll see your latest grids here. These are new ones, as you can see, getting generated, because before that was the newest, but now we can see some other ones here. And so then we can ask ChatGPT for more variations of the best prompts, the ones we like best, right? So we can create a package of prompts that we like, right? Go here on one of these things that you like, and then go copy full command, right? And that gives you the command, the prompt. Okay, I'll just put word wrap back on there. So that's a prompt written by ChatGPT, okay? And then we can ask for a variation of it in some direction. And another way to do this is take this thing and then change something in it, like some kind of color scheme or something. Find a certain word in here and then change it into something else. Like it says here, pixel art and NFT wizardry, right? And then you could just change the word wizardry to sorcery instead, right? Or you can change, like here, because this is an otherworldly ninja cat. So then we can change the word cat to a different animal. Cat, dog, horse, anything, a parrot, different thing, turtles, and things that people have commonly as pets. Okay, now if the word cat is in here multiple times, you might just, do a search and replace. Or I can have a program that will just change the word cat anywhere, but you'd want it to match only cat where it's its own separate word, not as part of a word like category. So you wouldn't want it to change the beginning of that word there. Right, so you can do that with regular expressions, but in a simpler way, in an interactive way, not so much of a scalable way, you can just ask ChatGPT to give you a variation of this, and instead of a cat, make it a dog or a horse or make it into a zebra or anything that you want. Because when you ask ChatGPT to rewrite the thing, it also changes the rest of it. It'll change other parts that relate to that animal. And we could change, see, this is ninja cat, so you could change ninja to secret agent and different things like that, which I tried earlier today, like samurai, ninja, karate. It's like a karate cat, or like kung fu cat, tai chi, qigong, whatever you want. So one way would be to change this word ninja into samurai and the other things. That would be a variable. I could do that in a Python program and just have it change that one thing. And so if you isolate multiple variables in here, like ninja and the other part being cat, and change that into other animals, then you can multiply your variations of this variable and your variations of that variable, and so on. So if you do that and you stack a series of those together, you could make a billion different variations of the prompt, right? By giving it a number of options for each of these variables. This part, you put in different things, like business mogul or something, tycoon. Like give it a different word for this, maybe like the profession of the cat, of the animal. Then the other one being the animal, and then something like the color of the clothing. So if you can get it to show the clothing in here, or just say to ChatGPT, like rewrite that, right? Just do that with red clothing, crimson clothing, right? Like green, purple, gold clothes, gold and purple, whatever. And so when it does that, then you can look at the way the prompt's written and isolate the place where that color is in there. Like say it just says purple once, or maybe it says it a couple of times. Turn that into a variable and then have it and start changing that thing into all the different colors that you want. So you multiply those different changes together, that gives you a large number of possible prompts. So if we get a good prompt, if we create a good prompt that creates good art, right, consistently basically using that prompt, then we can say, oh, we like this prompt, right? It's a proven prompt, it works well, it's good quality. We can put those prompts together in a package, right, and sell those prompts. And you could also make variations of them in order to populate the package. So make variations of the ones that work well. Then try samples of them. Tests, like if you make 100 variations of a thing, then you could just take random samples of those generated prompts, test them, try them out, and see what you get. And if you're getting good stuff, not a bunch of duds, then those prompts work, right? So you could create these collections of prompts that are on a theme that create a certain kind of art. So each package is like, it's like 100 prompts that do this, right? The dancing samurai cats, right, in some anime style or pixel art, or like something like Picasso or Matisse, like the cutouts. You could have it do different styles like the modern masters, right? So it'll give you paintings of dancing cats done by the modern masters. So some of the paintings will be like by Matisse or Picasso, Monet, Andy Warhol, and Salvador Dali, and others, right? So that's what it would do. You could also combine the styles together. You could have one with new surprising styles. And so then instead of just listing out artists when it says, in the style of this or by this, professional art by whatever, in that place there, we would put in a list of artists, artist 1 plus artist 2 plus artist 3 or whatever, and we could just generate those lists of artists randomly or input them in, make a list of ones we like. And so then giving it that list of styles, say like 20 different ones, 20 combinations that we already know we like, right? We can then multiply that by each collection. So one collection of prompts that creates dancing ninja cats, one that creates dancing samurai cats, another one that creates like whales or something, something about other completely different things, or realms, right? Magical realms, magical fantasy realms, right? Like number 3 here, this one here, right? So if you have art that creates a certain kind of thing, and then you make a whole bunch of variations of that prompt, sell the package of prompts, people can use that to make a bunch of art without having to create the prompts, because you've already pre-written them. And so we can have ChatGPT make us these prompts very easily. And I will demonstrate that also. Yeah, so right here we're going to upscale number 3. We could do variations of it, or we can say we like that, maybe I like that, and let's try making variations of the prompt to give us different magical, fantastic realms or something, right? So that's this prompt here. Yeah, and as ChatGPT is loading, I'll then also mention about this thing, right? Yeah, that's where we just upscaled that one. That was from here. Um, what I'm getting at is we can then sell the package of prompts, right, with images. You put images there to show examples of what you can generate with this, right? And so we show some of the best images that we generated using prompts that are in that package. Thus, it's a product, an info product that just gives them the prompts, but it inspires them by something that they could do. They can use that prompt and make as many pieces of art as they want with it, as well as using it for different purposes, like posters, mouse pads, canvas thing on the wall, right? And other things like backgrounds. You can have backgrounds like on the desktop, backgrounds on phones, backgrounds for Zoom, and so on, right? And green screens. Um, yeah, so you can make different things. And so the other thing is not just sell the prompts, but also sell the art, right? So the great art, you can make products like with Printify and sell those products on Etsy. It'll automatically create them in your Etsy store. So you can turn the best art into products. And so we will also look at that, right? We're going to look at like the community feed, and I would look at top and hot, right? These two sections. You can also search too, but we'll start with this. Search to get into something more specific, but here, just the top ones that have been voted the highest. Okay, and you can look at like top and hot. So then we can pick one and then see if we can improve that prompt. We'll also ask ChatGPT to describe what you see in this scene so that it rewrites the prompt rather than being based on this prompt. We can have it rewrite it based on it visually as well. And so we try to improve on the things that we find here, right? That people have already voted up highest. We make our own. We try to make a variation of it, something better, ideally, something different. Even if you can make it better, that's really cool. But everything's unique, okay? And so then once you create that art, you could then sell that art as a product, like turn it into different products that you believe people would want, right? Like the coffee mug, the mouse pad, the phone case, the wall hanging canvas thing, and posters and so on. Okay, and then and as well you can sell your prompts because the art that you've generated using the prompt that you like, if that prompt is good, you can sell the prompt as well as packages of those prompts, like variations of them. So let's now go and play with ChatGPT, which is what I was doing earlier, which is how I got prompts like this. Because if you look at what I was just doing before, each one of these prompts is going to be unique and different and rewritten, except where we've just like said repeat 10, so it did the same one 10 times, right? But earlier though, right, I have a whole bunch of different ones where every single one is a different rewritten prompt. Okay, so over here, this is the chat that I was just doing earlier, and you can see it here, and you can see it wrote a lot for me, right? So I started as shown in a tutorial. I'm gonna make these images, right? I copied this from a post, so I'll give you the link to that post also, which is this one. It's a thing I was thinking about lately, right? And so, but what I haven't tried is my new ideas over the last few days about doing this. What I did here, because I was looking at other things, and I was creating a lot of variations of the dancing cat, but turned into pixel art, and you're seeing some of those here. These are the upscaled ones since that. So you can see these new ones right here. Okay, but these are just selections from it, some that I liked, right? You can actually, there's actually a lot more than this because these are just the upscaled ones. So when we go to grids, you'll see how many I have there, a ton, right? But then later I started to do this experiment with it, and I'll also do the experiment using my own ideas too. So here I tried this one, and started to do this. Like, I'm going to feed this information to you, right? So that's what I did. I said that, and then I copied and pasted from the Midjourney prompt guide as it suggested there. I didn't use this whole article. I just used the beginning of it and started to play with it. So this is just one experiment. So I gave it that, and then I gave it the explore prompting page. See, it says here, I highly recommend that you copy those in and feed them into ChatGPT. And then I just started to play with it. I didn't continue on this for now. Okay, so here's what happened then. That's all copied in, right? Here's examples, whatever. See, I didn't go beyond that because there's some more here about like a detailed description of the subject and the camera settings and Midjourney parameters, right? For example, a simple prompt format, then fill in those sections, right, with details. And here's example prompts. So you put in these example ones because you want it to generate prompts like that, for example. Okay, so here it said that the bot just wanted to know the theme, style, and concept I'm interested in. So I asked what it meant by theme, and here's what it says. So I chose, I guess, pixel art or fantasy, right, for the theme. That's what I, based on how it thinks about that word, right, in the context of art and generative art. So theme, fantasy, style, pixel art, and NFT art, right, because you want to generate art. It's an experiment of seeing if we can generate art for an NFT collection automatically. First, you got to get it to create something that you like. Then we can create variations of it, right? So I did some experiments with that earlier today. And if you look back, you'll see the results of some of those here, or some of these experiments in process. If we go back, then you'll see how that developed a little bit. And this is leading off from Dancing Cats earlier, which I showed in class 3 of Connect with Your Future Self, AI art journey. Yeah, so this is new stuff today, trying to make pixel art with Dancing Cats. All right, so this is where that early stuff started today. But the thing with the Dancing Cats was the thing I did a few days ago, which is separate, and you won't see it back here. These are just tile experiments there. Okay, so these cats, you can see here, I generated variations of it, then I made variations of those variations. Right, there's some cutouts ones there. Okay, and that's what I did. I then did variations of variations, and I did certain experiments with them to see what would happen. Like I like number 2 here, and I'm not sure if that one's upscaled, but I definitely did variations of it. And then you'll see all these things, like similar things. Okay. And then at a certain point, I also asked ChatGPT to rewrite the prompts for certain purposes and see what would happen. So we tried that. Okay. And so, yeah, you could generate an NFT collection. I can see that you definitely could, because once you get it to do the style you want, then you could just make endless variations within that. Right, and make some variation, like change the prompt a bit too, so that it does some with one color clothing, some with another, a different thing with a different hat on, and some other things like that. And so when you multiply those variations together, then you'll get a whole bunch of different possible ones, like 1,000,000 if you want, for example. Then you can make a 10,000 collection, but there's a 1,000,000 possibilities of prompts that we might enter. But we could just generate 10,000 using a Python program or ChatGPT, right? Or a Python program written by ChatGPT, right? But I started with programs I wrote myself, so I'll be able to feed those into ChatGPT and ask for variations of those programs as well. But that's not right away. That'll be in the future because I don't need that yet. Okay, but this does show that you could generate NFT collections, right? You don't have, it doesn't have to look like this, right? We can choose one where we like the style of it and make variations of it, right? As well as with different variations of the prompt. So if I made 10,000 prompts and then put each one in, and with each one you choose one image that you like, you'd then have the whole collection. Or another way is just pick one prompt that we really like. Actually, just randomly do it. So if we generate a few different ones, then we can just pick one from each of those randomly. Like maybe have 10 or maybe have 100. And then each time you would just put each one of those in randomly. Those are different text prompts with some variation. Then from what it generates, we pick the ones we like, upscale them, and then save them, right? And those become the collection. So you can just put the same prompt in many, many times and see what you get, and that will create the population. but you could also do it by putting in a different seed number on each one. So you could have the same prompt, but then a different random seed number entered in on each one, and that would generate the collection, which is another way to do this. Like say we like, for example, just if we like number, maybe just this number. That's kind of funny though, because he's holding onto his tail like it's a weapon, but it should be this. I'll just do one here with number 1 though, in this case. So open in Discord, and then I'll upscale number 1, and we will then do variations of it with the same prompt. Well, this is the prompt, so this is a very general one. It's not very specific. So if we put that same one in with a lot of different seed phrases, then they may have a lot of variety. So I won't actually use that experiment. Although in that prompt, we could also link to this image, right? Like upscale it first, then get that image, and then when you're looking at it here, you get it big like this first, right click, copy image address, right? And put the image in, but not this one. It would be the result of the upscale. So you could do that, but what I would prefer doing that on is a more specific prompt, a longer one there, like this is written by ChatGPT. So if we like that, for example, and then we generate a whole bunch of them, right, based on that prompt with different seed numbers, we could still have it link back to this one, or like the upscale of that one, or we could just have it with this prompt itself each time. So one would be closer to the other, and one would be more variety if we didn't have this image inside it. But you could also just keep imagining that same prompt with different seed numbers, or versus another way doing it, you would hit variation of 1 on this one. So we could go variation of 1, that's this one here, right? Open this in Discord, and then we'll get that interface. We could do variation of 1, put the same prompt in each time, but have a different seed number each time, like a random number, or from 1 to 10,000 or something like that. And then another way would be do the same thing I just said there, except that you can either put in the link to the image, like this, say number 1 upscaled, for example, put that link in, or don't put it in. So one way versus the other. One of them with the link in it will make them more like this one, and the other way will be more general. Even though there's still variations of this one, having that link to that image in there is another influence, because you could even put a different one if you want, which would then be kind of blending it. Okay, so that's several different ways. You could try any of those ways and see how it works. So variation of that one here, same prompt. That would be the same prompt every time. Turn on remix mode, then we can enter a different seed every time, right? So I'll do that. Uh-oh. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. It's gonna be all right though. We'll get right back up to that place. Okay, so yeah, I want remix mode on so that I can put a different seed number in. There, we're on remix mode, obviously now, so that's good. Okay, so we'll go seed 1, and copy all that, right? Select all, copy, and then input it. And now we'll go select all, Control A, and then Control V to paste, and then I'll just change that to another seed. So you could do that and go through a whole series, or you could put in random seed numbers. So we'll just kind of put in a random number now. Okay. All right. And so then we'll see what happens with those. Okay, so to continue with the ChatGPT example, here's how I set it up, right? As I was telling you that before. So I just put in this and feed in information first, give it the prompts one, give it the explore prompting page. I just copied and pasted them in. I'm not sure if that's what it meant, but I tried this, right? And what are themes? Okay, and so I chose fantasy. So I put in fantasy, pixel art, NFT art, and the concept is dancing ninja cat. So that could be dancing samurai cat or whatever. So here it gave me some prompts. You can see them here, 5. So then I said, good, just give me the output differently. Don't include imagine prompt, and don't include the quotes here. So we just want this part here every time, right? So here's that. So you can copy and paste that list. And I use that and put in each prompt. So here I asked to describe a piece of art in detail. Okay, so then you can see it wrote more of a description. So we'll do the same thing with So that's one of the ones I generated. It's no longer pixel art, right? It turned into a different style, kind of a cartoon thing. Okay, so we asked for that. Can you describe this piece of art in detail in the format of a Midjourney prompt? So here's how it rewrote it. Fantasy theme artwork with this for a world-class collection, right? And overall, the piece evokes a sense of wonder and adventure, inviting viewers to explore the mystical world it portrays. So this prompt here, right? So we can go and imagine that prompt. That's what I already did, right? So I generated that prompt by describing the image that I showed you, and then I asked for it, can you rewrite it, make it sci-fi, right? So here, sci-fi version, rewrite it retro-futurist. Okay, so if we can then find these over here, then you can see what the result of that was. So I'll just search for that, and we use grids because I didn't necessarily upscale them. I only upscaled a few selected ones. Okay, so the results of that search are now showing up. It's actually just one, so that one right there. That was when we asked for it to be retro-futurist, like futuristic but done in the past. Art made in the past in a certain style. You could say 1920s retro-futurist, 19 whatever. Okay. Okay, so can you rewrite this in 1920s? Yeah, it's already retro-futurist though. We already know that, right? So I asked back then, right? So we had it like, we want to make it sci-fi. Okay, but retro-futurist. Now the same by Rembrandt. Now the same by Matisse. More ecstatic, right? Okay, written in the feel of the poet Rumi. So here, if we take a look at this phrase, search for it, we can go over there and find that one. So that was the one where I said more ecstatic, right? More ecstatic Matisse. Okay, so here's the output of that. Okay, it's kind of like a flower. There you go, Dad. Okay. And then if you say, oh, like we want this surrealist, right? So you could do variation of 2, surrealist. Or we can just ask it to rewrite the thing in surrealist. So yeah, that's what's cool. So written in the feel of the poet Rumi here. Written in the feel of Mark Twain. Oh no, I meant the style. I meant the style of Mark Twain. Okay. Well now, folks, we've got this ourself an artistic spectacle. Okay, step right up. Can you make this postmodern? Okay, here. And then by Cezanne and by Monet, and then also by Leonardo da Vinci, and now as surrealist art. And yeah, and as surrealist pixel art, and then as surrealist pixel art Sega style, Sega, and also best-selling computer game pixel art Sega style. And you see the word Odyssey there. And now as best-selling computer game art EA Sports style, and then also as best-selling computer game pixel art Electronic Arts style, and also LucasArts style. Okay, and then now best-selling computer game art Dune style, like Dune, and also same thing, best-selling NFT collection pixel art. Okay, I added in another word there. Pixel art, it's an NFT collection, it's pixel art, and the theme is Odyssey, right, by Homer. And another one, Alice in Wonderland, and then Lewis Carroll's Adventures, and then also C.S. Lewis's Adventures. Okay, so we tried, this one is 1920s retro-futurist. Now, it doesn't look like it says 1920s here, but you can actually put that in there. Okay, this is just something we know, right? So there's a thing, I might as well show you the page while we're talking about it, so I'll bring it up. So that was before, that was retro-futurist. I asked for it to be 1920s, so here's what we got. And we'll just imagine that, and then we'll say now 1940s, and it'll do now 1980s. There. We'll let that generate first and then enter it. And now 2000s. Okay. Alright, so then we'll input those prompts. So we got the 1940s one. It does say 1940s there, that's good. Okay, but there's a way to just input it in, like, because if you ask for imagine, okay, little dragon, okay, cute little dragon, character concept, retro futurist 1970s. See, so you can just change that word. So it's an example of writing a prompt yourself, right? So 1950s. And then you may see a difference between the 70s and the 50s in the art there. You can do the same thing. Well, I'll go to 20s and then also add sci-fi. But we already said retro futurist. Okay, so then we're going to be able to see those when it takes a minute to generate. I'll come back once they're there. This is this 1940s one here. We'll take a look at those. It's a retro futurist from 1940s, remember. Okay, there. This one down here. And then that one over there. Okay. And also with the little dragon. So cute little dragon character concept, retro futurist 1970s. We have those. 1950s there. And 1920s. It's going further back. Yeah, look at the older goggles, right? You could say like steampunk if you want. Okay, so here we can go steampunk, and I'll also do like kind of the same thing, but I'll say on that same one there, variation of 3. So we got steampunk. Oh, I forgot the other word. Oh no, because I was gonna say vaporwave also. I was just forgetting it, but I was also checking whether it was already in here, and it wasn't. That was something I put in something else. Okay. All right. So this actually does work, right? So what we could do, did we input these? Don't think so. All right. Yeah, got slightly disorganized there because I forgot to enter those ones in. Okay, we were going to do that. Anyway, I did a bunch of experiments before. So anyway, the point here is now we could say pick something that we like, and then we'll get ChatGPT to rewrite the prompt in a different way. And this might be, I don't know who this character is here sitting there, but could be Moses or something, or God. I don't know. We don't know what this is yet. There does tend to be a character in them, like 3 out of 4, but it's usually smaller. And this one you don't see it. That one it's close up. So it's kind of, there's quite a bit of variation between them. But if you made the chaos smaller, then it would be closer. And maybe it's depicting C.S. Lewis, the artist himself, right? That could be what's happening there. Yeah, and now that we've given it time, we can see here the result of those. So one was 1980s, the next one's 2000s. We had a 1970s retrofuturist one before. So here's 1980s one, lots of neon, and then this one here, 2000s. This one down here is, I think it's when I asked for it to be based on Homer's Odyssey. You can see this character here. Okay. And so then if we ask for, say we like this one, for example, like just this portrait up here. So I'm going to upscale that one. Then I'll ask ChatGPT to describe that one also. And then you'll see that the description of that will likely be different than what we actually put in. And each time we put this in, we'll get different results, because these are the 4. But we could lower the chaos, right? And they'd be closer to each other, or whatever we want. We can play with stylize also. So I'll just upscale that one. We'll ask it to describe that and see what we get. And we'll re-roll the same prompt to see what we're getting here. Remix mode is on, so I could change it, like lower the chaos. So that's like from 0 to 100, so I'll just make the chaos really low so that they're more grouped close together. So variations of, oh no, yeah, re-rolling the prompt. So you could do that. The other way would be to make a variation of a specific one, like say number 2 or number 3 or whatever you want, and then put that prompt in. Okay, or we could do a variation of that one, that number 2 there, but using the description that ChatGPT writes for that painting, that specific one, not just this thing in general, because each time we run this prompt, we're getting different things, right? These are 4, but I've just run it again more, so when we see the results of that, we'll be able to compare them. We might as well come back to that in a minute, but what we do need though is the upscale. So once we have that upscale, we can then, like, we just need the link. I can do this, or I can like just right click it and get the link, which you can probably do down here too. Hopefully it gives you the same link when you do that, but because of this slowness, I ended up not liking that method, right? Okay, and hopefully it's the same as this link here. It's not exactly the same. Like, see, that's smaller. It's got that part added on. But yeah, we'll just go to the way I've normally do it, which is go here and click that button. So we'll go to that link there, and then ask ChatGPT to describe that one, like I did earlier. See, can you describe this piece of art in detail in the format of a Midjourney prompt? That's how I asked the question. You could try a different way if you like. That's my example for you. So it's just generating that right now. Here. So yeah, there's the image. So pixelated odyssey of artistic mastery. That's the theme. Style is immersive pixel art, and the concept is an enigmatic journey. Maybe this is because earlier it said, yeah, I can help you write prompts. Just tell me the theme, style, and concept that you want, and I'll help you get started or make it or whatever. So then that's why it's repeating these back to me, I guess. So we can just take this prompt and imagine it, right? This thing. So each time we do that, we'll get a different result. Okay, so I'll just run it 2 times just to demonstrate that. But each time you're getting 4 examples anyway, so you'll see how they differ. But if you have a low chaos value, then they're grouped close together. And if you have a high one, they'll be more farther apart. I'll do one at the bottom, one middle, and then higher. So like from 0 to 50 and then to 100. Okay, so we'll see what happens with those. Okay, so then say we want to rewrite it in a certain way. Well, we can look at what we get first, and then based on our ideas, ask for that. Or another way is just to keep asking it for different ones. So, like for example, with red clothing, right? Or a red costume, with an ornate costume, with gold clothes, gold threads, whatever. It's simpler to use the simple language rather than the slang. So instead of threads, just say clothes or clothing or costume, for example. Okay. So this was after I asked for red, so we'll see if it changes to red after that. And then we'll say with purple clothes. Purple and gold clothes. Okay. Okay. So I've already put the red one in, so that's good. So now we'll try this one. Okay, so I've just done a new example for you on the fly there. One way of doing it, but it'll probably change a lot. We just asked for the clothes to be different colored, but it's likely changing more of the prompt. If we want, we can see how those prompts compare, like how they differ to each other. So if I try that, we can see, or we can ask it, what's the difference between these two? Okay, so if I just compare that one with the next one. So one was with red clothes and one was purple and gold clothes. So let's just use that as a test to see what difference it shows. It says here vibrant red clothing, right? And here we have regal purple and gold clothing. Okay, that's good. It was doing what I wanted. And down here, guided by the figure's striking red attire and his resplendent purple and gold attire, right? So there you can see the difference. And this is also a precursor. By doing that comparison like that, it's a precursor to taking your prompts and then isolating out a variable. See this part here? They've written the word red, like the color red, two ways: vibrant red clothing, and also down here that he has striking red attire, right? So it's like the color red is written in two ways. We could just leave the word vibrant there and striking there and just change the color red. So it could be red, purple, I mean blue in both places, and so on. Or we can actually have it change this word each time too from a list of different words. Like you can ask for synonyms, or I guess synonyms of the word, or just other variations we could have of describing a color. And then what it could, that's one of our variables. We isolate this part of the prompt. The rest of it is just text. This part here would become a variable, and the color would get filled in here and here. Or color written in variation 1 and color variation 2, a different way of describing that color will go in the second paragraph, right? So that's what the Python program would do. It would change the color of the clothing, but it would also change other things like the style or some kind of thing, like which artist you want it in the style of, which we could try here. So when we have the purple and gold one, we can just say we just want that one in different styles, right? So what I'll first do is do this like the silly cat. Just a sec. Yeah, so actually the cat's dancing. So when I first did that, there it is. So you got Matisse, M.C. Escher, Van Gogh, Picasso, Salvador Dali, David Hockney, Louis Wayne combined with others like Vasily Kandinsky, Hokusai, Ukiyo-e and another one here, and then also that combination with Dan Mumford, for example. So this list of artists, right? I have that somewhere else. I'll grab that and pop it in, and then we'll just have that part of it change and see what happens. Or you can ask for ChatGPT to give that to you for each one. It's just that's more complicated. So yeah, same in the style of Louis Wayne, Toyohara Kunichika, yeah, and Dan Mumford. So we have that, and then we'll say same thing in another one. Okay, yeah, same in the style of, and so we'll just multiply that by our list of artist combinations, or of artists. Yeah, same in the style of, yeah, but see, then there's a simpler way, because we'll just make it with Excel. Okay, so I'll do one more here. All right. So the Louis Wayne and the Hokusai one here we'll try, because that's the next one I hadn't done yet. And then a Salvador Dali one. So then we're going to see what we got with that. And also, if you compare them, like in WinMerge, right, we can then see the difference between each one. So the one before that was, well, I'll just scroll up, because we had Salvador Dali, but before that we had Louis Wayne and Hokusai. So if I put those two here and compare them, then you can see that it rewrote it and it changed a lot of words, right? So it didn't only put in the artist, and that's good. That's an indication that it knows stuff about that art, so that's cool, right? So that's an amazing little demonstration right there then. So yeah, so if we do it the simple way though, we would have this thing before we started to bring the artists in. So like back here, purple and color, purple gold clothes, right? So I'll try this one for example, and we're gonna just substitute. We're not even gonna substitute, we're just gonna add in a style. So I actually need all this in one single prompt line, a single line. Or it's okay if it has paragraphs, but the whole thing needs to be put into a single cell though. Okay. All right. So I got this cell in here, and we don't want the word wrap, right? Well, we can if you want to see it, but in this case we don't need it. Okay, and then we will get the list of artists. I'll come back with that in a moment. Okay, so to get back to the silly idea, my cat dancing, it wasn't such a silly idea though, but trying that idea of just my cat dancing combined with a prompt. Now I did one with Matisse. I have it painting by Matisse as well as cutouts right? Professional cutouts painting by Matisse. But all the rest of them, I don't say cutouts. It's just painting. So the template is this. That's what I used. Stunning world-class professional cutout, not cutouts painting. Oh yeah, that's just a mistake there. Yeah, so to continue on, there we go. Stunning world-class professional painting by artist name depicting my cat dancing. So I put in this list of artists. So now that's how I made these above. Then what I did today is another thing. That's where we go beyond it and made pixel art based on the cat dancing. Yeah, these are some of the prompts that I did today. Page down, page down, page down. So these are different. I was changing one thing at a time. So they're different ideas of how you can change prompts. So then once we unpack what's in here, or do whatever we want with it, we can then turn it into programs that generate the prompts in different ways. So there's a whole bunch of ideas in here. You can't see the whole prompt, see, because they're put onto one line right now for copying to make it easy. But yeah, some of those things are like trying different levels of chaos or stylize, as well as different artists, or different levels of stylize there, and what happens with low variation mode and high variation mode. And then later I got into using ChatGPT to write the prompt, and this is the start of that. But after this, we go into much more detailed prompts, which is what I showed you already. We'll come back to this thing. Okay. So yeah. Right, okay, so we're gonna go to the spreadsheet then. Right? So the list of artists there. See, like that. So then I'll just combine it together, and I'll make it add this in a certain place in there. So we'll just do that now. Okay, so I've just read this thing over and it's very silly, right? But if it works, right? We'll see. So, but the idea here is let's have it put in the style. So kind of like what I did before here. But we'll say, yeah, in the style of, I'll just have that at the beginning. Although another way to do it will be just simply to have professional pixel art in the style of artist, right? Depicting and the rest of it. So we can do it that way also. Okay, and then I'll just substitute that word there. So this is what I had to figure out first, is what am I going to do, right? So that's what I'm going to do. So we'll copy all that, put it inside that cell, paste it in. Okay, and then we'll have it do a variation with each of those. Substitute this, always that one. Old text, artist. New text, the artist's name. Okay, and double click, bring that down. Then we're just adding that sentence at the beginning, first paragraph, that's added in, and it has each artist or artist combination. So then we copy those, and that's more of this stuff. Omitted, there's other stuff in between there. Okay, now the thing here though is we've got these quotes at the beginning and end, which you normally don't want. I'll still put them in with that if it will work, just to save time, but we'd kind of want it without those quotes. It's because it's a multi-line one though, so if we make it a single line, it won't do that, because it'd all be one line of text. But then it wouldn't be broken into paragraphs. Okay, so now here we'll go back to take off word wrap, go right to the end, that's control end. We need this thing all to be together, right? So it's basically, it starts with the one with the quote at the beginning, and then goes to the one with the quote at the end, like that, right? So the easier way would be to turn them into a single line instead of that, which we'll do. Here it is as multiple lines. Here it is as a single line. So we'll input that in and use that in the spreadsheet. See, it talked about the foreground and then the background, I guess. Okay, so we're going to copy that in and use that in the spreadsheet instead. There. And then these are the resulting prompts for these artists or combinations. And then, well, that's the result we'll get. So I'll add those in here. Okay, and now these lines are really long though. So yeah, with word wrap on, you can see you get these big paragraphs. That's the thing, right? Yeah, that's the next one. So we can put those in, but normally I turn off word wrap because it's then quicker and easier. But normally they just fit on one line. It's so freaking long that it uses two lines in this one, which makes it less convenient. Okay, so then we'll just input them in like this. I'll just show you how I start to input them in first. So you're seeing me do that right there. Yeah, and if it was just a single line, it'd be simpler because you just go like this, like shift down, copy, and then put that in, and so on. Okay, but because we have two lines, it's not as easy. All right, so yeah, I just do that and paste them in, and I'll pause and we'll just enter them, and then you'll be able to see the output. And first, well, we'll look at the output, but it would be good to look at what we did with this also. Although that experiment I may not have done. I may have only started it. I think we asked it to describe this, but then we didn't do much more. But we would want to do, like, imagine the thing and put this link right in there, and then use the description it used to describe it. Imagine that, but also with this link in it as well as an image prompt guiding it, and then it will give us a bunch of variations of it as we imagine those, or from the ones we like best as we make variations of them, right? So I'm not sure if we did that, but we can check after. So we'll just look at the latest thing we're doing first. Okay, so I've entered in all those prompts, and of course in order to make that thing I used this, right? And I used this spreadsheet. We put that prompt in there, the single line, or the other. We did single line. We had that list. So that thing goes in A1. One goes in A1 only. And then artist list in B2 down. Okay, so I put that there. And then this is C1. That's the formula for C1, and then pull down, which is like that. Or double click that. Okay, so C1, C2 gets that formula and pull it down. Okay, that's how that works. And then now you can see what's being generated here. So we'll just look on the website for that. Obviously the Van Gogh there. It's a combination though, right? Dan Mumford, Vincent Van Gogh, and David Hockney is what I asked for there. Okay, so yeah, back on the profile, reload it, grids, right? Okay, so we ran some variations like that, right? There's quite a number of those. It was this list, I guess 10 or 12 different artists. This list right here. So that's how many grids you should see, right? So we'll scroll back and take a look at those. Yeah, it's with the quote on it too, the quotes at the beginning and end, right? Although maybe we got rid of that once it went, instead of multi-line, I made it single line. There's no quote here. So Van Gogh, let's see the one before that maybe. MC Escher. Okay, it's pretty big. Okay, this is before. This is when we had the quotes on it, right? So after that we get these. So MC Escher, and then here Van Gogh, right, without the quotes. And then we have Picasso. It's not really Picasso, but anyway, this is what we got. You can add in no, right? No frame, wall, furniture, so that it's just focused on the painting. Add in a negative prompt. Okay, here we have, yeah, Picasso. Salvador Dali. It's kind of painting him though, rather than in his style. So we can try that a different way then. Okay, because here we have David Hockney. Okay, and then MC Escher again. Cool. And here Lewis Wayne, the Cats. Okay. Okay. So Aren't they supposed to be like Odysseus? As we're looking at this example, this experiment, we can see the result. That's what was happening, right? So, um, so that was by just putting this part in here at the beginning. So now we'll try the same thing, but we'll ask ChatGPT to change each one with that artist list. So I'm going to just do that, and then you can compare, and we'll see if that works better than what I just did. Lewis Wayne, Jeff Koons, Art Term. Oh, a whole bunch, a whole list there. Okay, so yeah, now we'll try the same list of artists, which is right here, but I'll ask ChatGPT to rewrite it and put that and make it in that style, the style of whatever I say there. So we'll try those and see how they work, but I'll do it with a smaller selection. So I'll just pick 3 different ones, and that way we can iterate faster because we want to be able to see how that works. So what we had before was this prompt in here, right? This stuff here before I added that sentence at the beginning. So we're not really going to add that sentence, right? We're going to have this. Now I believe that this thing was written by ChatGPT describing a painting. Let's take a look at that. Control F, paste in, and find that sentence. So that comes up a few times, but if we go back to the early part, it's here because I said describe this one, that one, right? Yeah, describe that one, and then we got this, right? So that's what we're going to use. We want this prompt by each artist. Give me this prompt by each of the artist styles in my list. Some are combinations of artists. Okay, so the prompt is the part down here. Midjourney prompt. Okay, so that's the one that we have, and we want it done by each of the styles in my list. Okay. Alright, so the same thing I did in Excel, but we'll ask ChatGPT to do it, which is a lot smarter. Let's see if that works. Let's see what we get here. Right, so that was my prompt. Here's the list, and then the prompt. So we're going to see if it kind of works like that. MC Escher. So let's see if it will actually work, and if the result will look like Escher for that one, and so on. So I'm just going to input each of those in, copy them, imagine, and paste them in. Part 1 of 3 it says here. Okay, so now part 2, Salvador Dali. Okay, so I'll just continue doing that and then show you after we generate them.
Yeah.
See, we're using ChatGPT to write the prompts, and it's faster. We can create more words faster, right? But is it better? We need to check the quality of the output of the art that we generate with those prompts to see if we're able to get higher quality with less work. And bring your creativity into it, right? Don't just let ChatGPT do all the thing, which is what I was showing you earlier, right? What I did earlier was you driving it with my creativity. And this is partly doing that too because I provided a custom list of specific artists that I put together, including combinations. So we can put any styles we want in here. But earlier I was saying, yeah, do the same thing, do that thing, but by this artist, or in this different thing, like this other way. Have it with this background, this other city background, this other country or culture, or like a different intergalactic thing, like a space place, some kind of different locale, right? In space, different galaxy, different planet, different era of history or whatever. So you can ask for different things like that. So for example, so we just did that and got all those, right? With all those different artists. but then we can say, okay, do the same thing again with that same list of artists, um, but do this on an alien planet instead. Okay, so give me the same um, outputs. Well, it's not the same really. It's kind of like, um, you know, like a series of outputs, but not the same results as what you just did. Kind of like that, right? Um, one prompt by each artist in the list as before. But um, let's make the location and background an alien world. Okay, instead. So that's the only difference. The other way would be give me the same thing again, but with an alien background instead. And then the same again, but with a Amazon background. Like in the jungle, I mean, right? A tropical background, right? Or a Saharan, or a Egyptian thing. But it will be done by the same group of artists each time. So each one of these themes or areas, geography for the background of where it's set, each one of those will be multiplied by the entire list of artists as well, right? So that's what we're asking for there. So let's see what happened. So with this test, I've already put these in, I believe. Okay, so now the same, but with a different location, an alien world. Let's see if that works. So MC. But what I got to do is first show you what we got with the earlier ones. I also realized that I said I was going to only do 3 so that we could iterate faster. Well, it's giving me the first 3 and then it does more and so on because it's too long, so it doesn't want to put that all in one response. So yeah, I realized that. I didn't pick 3, I just put my whole list in. That was a mistake. Okay, but we can try that on the next one. So first we'll take a look at what was created here. So the experiment we're doing here is, instead of doing it in Excel like I did before, where I took the prompt and I just changed the artist, so that was a simplistic way. That's what we did there. Instead we used ChatGPT instead. Okay, and we're going to see, is the result better or worse than what we did before? So you compare, because you've been watching it. Earlier we were doing that. Let's see where the new one starts in here. I'll try searching for that little thing here, because that's where we first had it by Escher, I believe. So if I search for that phrase and see if that one pops up, we'll know which one to look at then. Yeah, it's taking too long for my fancy here, so we're gonna start that again. Just a search with nothing, no search, just everything with grids. Yeah, so then I'll just scroll back, so you can see 4 per row here. So I'll just go back. I'll assume there's about 12. So 3 of those rows. Now we're back like 12 here. There might be some more even. So we'll take a look at these. Okay, but it says professional pixel art in the style of Lewis Wayne, right? So it's after that, because it's when we stopped doing that, because that was my thing I added on the beginning. So here we have MC Escher. So here's the first one. That's here, and so on. So now if we take a look at them, we just click this button to go to the newer ones. Okay, so Escher, good. Van Gogh. It's showing himself though in the painting. Okay, and the next one, Picasso. Right, so it wants to be in the style of Picasso. Next one, Dali. Okay, so it's actually showing him in his own art. It's making surrealist art with Dali in it himself. It wasn't exactly what we're asking for. So it's talking about this protagonist. It doesn't, see, this thing doesn't, you can see Dali-esque realm here and Dali, right, the surrealist. You can see it repeated, so that's because it's custom writing the whole thing, right? So that's cool. But you notice that when we got it to write this, I don't think it described this figure very well, right? We want to describe this character accurately so that we see something like this each time. Oh, right, and also put the link into the prompt, which I forgot to do. So we're going to have to try it that other way, where this link is also part of the prompt. Okay. So when we go down to the end of that, I gotta say go on again, right? Because I did a thing with where it had part 1, 2, 3. And so this, what it's generating now is each of those artists and in space, right? On an alien world instead. Okay. But what we need as a difference is, yeah, this is good, right? But one thing different is add the link, right? So give me the same output again, but change one thing. Each prompt must start with this link. Okay, so that's the way it needs to do them. Although it can put a short link of that. You gotta imagine with that link so you can get a short link, and then we could put that one in. So yeah, it's generating them, so that's good. And then the other thing is we can have it describe it. I may be able to open a new chat in a new window if I can get one more. Yeah, if I could have more than one of these open at a time, then we could still have that one going and be here at the end of it working on it, right? Go on, because it says part 1 of 3 and I want all the artists. But in a new chat we can then start it again and put in, yeah, describe that artist, right? So if we go right up to the beginning of this, I can start it the same way I did that one. Or we can, if you can clone this chat like at a certain point and spin off from it. I don't know about that yet, right? So I'm just going to put this prompt in. And then I'll put this one in, which is from Midjourney Guide, as it said to do in this article. There, here and here, it says. And then the other one. That's all I did, right? We could do a lot better than that. Okay, and it actually continues on with more instructions, right? Here I was just leaving it at that for now. Okay, and then we'll say describe this thing, like we did before, except that I'm going to ask differently. Yeah, I wanted to describe this one. Okay, so then give a very accurate description. Okay, so now I've rewritten that. Give a very accurate and detailed description of this piece of art in the format of a Midjourney prompt, which will generate images that look similar to this piece. Okay, so we'll try it again with a different one. Copy code. Yeah, and we have to say I want that without that part. It's got to give me this thing where it's just the prompt. So if I then click copy code and we take a look at it. There. Okay, and that the image is there, and then it says the style captures the essence of the provided artwork found at this URL. So that's another way to do it, or we can, well, yeah, we can try it one way. You can put this in. I'll try it 2 ways. So I'll do that, and then I'll do one a different way, like where I put that image at the beginning. Okay, and take that part out. Okay, and so then we could say to, yeah, so here we have it, right, with the shortened link. So there's our input prompt, if this works, right? It's just a theoretical thing. Yeah. Okay, so that's what we'll input, and then we'll just say, give me that with each artist. Okay, give me a series. Okay, but this time I won't put 12, I'll just put 3 artists or 3 artist combinations. So give me a series of prompts one rewritten to generate art in the style of each artist in my list. Okay. Template prompt. Okay, and then I'll put a list artist there. But this time we're going to use a smaller list. Louis Wayne and Hokusai, and Louis Wayne, Toyohara, Kunichika, and Dan Mumford, and also I also want Van Gogh, or let's just do Louis Wayne and Mobius. Okay, no, let's do Van Gogh as well. We don't want it to show Van Gogh himself in the painting, right? We want it to be in that style. So here's another test. Try that out. So right now it's generating those, and that's what it did. So we're gonna see if that works. This prompt we've basically already put in because I copied that from here. So now I'll just input each one of these. First we'll look at them and then I'll input those. Okay, so you can see here, Odyssey theme. This is where we had the sentence at the end, right? That was how ChatGPT had written it. The style like this art, but I wanted it more like showing, you know, using that as a design. You could say use this as a design or a rough sketch or something, a layout. That's another way to say it, because style is different from layout. And so here's when I put the image at the beginning, the link at the beginning instead of that sentence at the end. So we can see the difference there, if there is one. Remember, the reference one is this image, and we asked it to write a prompt for us and then put that in. So, and we don't know if we've said that it's about Odysseus, right? Because I generated it based on Odysseus before, and that's how I got this. Then we just said describe this without mentioning Odysseus. Okay, so here's what we have there. And then with the link at the beginning, I got a different thing, and he's a bit like a spaceman here. Astronaut. Okay. All right. So that's what we got, and yeah, then I will show you with those other ones. There may be more that we should look at too. Yeah, we should review the outputs from before, as we were looking at this before, and it was kind of showing the artist, but then we're like, hey, that's not really what we want, so we retried it, and instead of just having the prompt and having it rewritten by ChatGPT with a different style each time, right? We should have yeah, Wassily Kandinsky in there. That's this one here. So a pixelated symphony of abstract enchantment, an immersive fusion of Louis Wayne's whimsy and Wassily Kandinsky's abstract visions, right? A different way of doing it, instead of just saying in the style of Louis Wayne plus Wassily Kandinsky, which is what I did. That's what we started with. Yeah, oh well, yeah, that's what I started with. We have to go back farther to see that, but it's what I did back here. Okay, and that works, right? And this also works. Okay, but I wanted them to look more like this each time, something like this, you know, riffing on this theme more. So that's what we're trying next. So I'll just reload this. And actually I also have to input these in. So I've got 4 selected ones. I'll input them and then let you see how those work. And also it's good to show you how this is working, so you can see that it's convenient the way it's working right now, because it's like showing me the artist and then the prompt, and I only have to click that button and then just imagine and paste it in, and that's easier to do than selecting text and copying it, right? Because it just has a button. So this, okay, so there it's showing that artist, Louis Wayne, and then Mobius will be highlighted again somewhere later. Actually, yeah, you can see Mobius there. They just highlighted this here. I'm not sure why it's doing it like this, but it doesn't matter. right? So as long as it works, it works. So we're going to see that here. Yeah, okay, come back when they're done. Okay, so we have 3 of them done there, and notice they're all cats, and that's partly because we have Lewis Wayne in every one. At least I may not have done that in the 4th one though, just Vincent van Gogh, I think. Let's take a look. No, I still have him in there too. Lewis Wayne always. So then instead we'll make it a man, right, instead of a cat, and we won't put Lewis Wayne always, so we're going to change it, do the same thing with a different list of artists. So like I said here, to do this thing, you can just put the same thing in again and put a different list, or we can also give them a give the same again, but with we'll put a different list, and we don't have to copy all this again. Yeah, same again with a different list of styles. Okay. Okay, I've put together another different list there, so we'll try it with these ones. Okay, so what it's doing here is not really combining it with my description very well, because it's just simply giving me kind of a description of their style. See that? It's so short. It's not using the full description. Let's try entering it in differently. Okay, so like we did before, see, I asked for it with this prompt, which is the description of the image. We asked for a description of the image and got this prompt, right? So we want that prompt rewritten differently. So that's this prompt here. So we're going to just try this again, but with the other list. Okay, because I don't think that that worked. There, that's what we're trying there. Okay, with what it's generating now, we're going to take a look at these and see if they make sense, because we want it to be like this thing, right? A description of that, and we link to it. We include a link to that image, right? You can verify that here. So we have a link to the image and the description that ChatGPT wrote about this image, and it'll be this image here. Yeah, and then we have that description in, and we want it to be in the style of each of these artists. So we'll just see if this basically works. This is different, right? No, that's not really what we want. See, because this is just talking about the style of it, but it's just totally general. It doesn't have this part in it again. So we have to say that we want it about that scene that you have there with that link. So we're gonna combine it together, just like we asked it to do when it gives a description of that thing. We're gonna say to do that, but make one variation of it for each artist. That's what we had before, those 4. This time I have more. So that'll be here. And then the prompt the prompt will be what it generates for that. Okay. Step 1, generate a very descriptive thing for that. Okay. Give me a series of prompts, each one rewritten from the output of step 1. Okay. There. So now it's like step 1, make a prompt based on that image. Then give me a series of prompts, each one rewritten from the output of step 1, so that the prompt will generate art in the style of each artist in this list below, right, in the following list. Okay, so that'll be a series, and they should look like that prompt. So they're not really short like what it was just doing. It was kind of giving us a description of their style, I think, here. See, Monet, Matisse, and Hokusai, right? Take a look at that one, for example. Combine Monet's Impressionism, Matisse's color and form, and Hokusai's traditional Japanese elements. Generate an artwork that marries Monet's light and color with Matisse's expressive shapes, all within a serene landscape inspired by Hokusai's ukiyo-e style. Right? So it was giving us a very general thing. So if we do that and we put at the beginning of that the description of the painting that it generated, which is over here. That's this thing here. If I add that in, okay, we've got the first part about the style, and then the other part is the rest of that there. Okay. So that's this thing here. See, first paragraph describes the style it wants, and then that part there. So if you have it do it that way, you could use that description to make the style and then the thing. But then another way to do it would be to just add that description at the end of the thing. So you got the prompt, and then we got the paragraph where it described that artistic style. But remember that normally I don't do it this way, where it says the style captures the thing found at this URL, or we could say that the design, right? Make the art based on the design of this. Okay, that image, and then we have the style is expressed after that. Okay, and so then we can just paste in here. You could generate this, right? Because that's all the same, and then just add in here whatever it says for each style. So that's kind of what it wanted us to do with the other one, because what it was generating was just the style for each one. See this thing? It was kind of just doing that. See, that's just that style part, which goes at the end. So that would be what would go after this. And I wouldn't do this in here. I would do that in the notepad, right? Because you got the first part. Yeah, and then the last part is style is as follows, and you just add that in. So each one would have the same, each one would be the same starting, and it would have a different part, right? Like this. Each one of those would be filled in. Like the style phrase or whatever. Okay, so, but what we're now trying though is not that. We're trying to make it do it all at once. So instead, we did it differently. So let's see if it works. That's where I said step 1 and step 2. Give a description, then use the output from step 1 and use that with each one of these. So I want it to multiply by my list right here. So we're going to see if that worked. So here's what it generated. But it says make the art in the style of the image. We may not want it to do that. We may want to say depict or use the sketch or a composition layout or some kind of thing like that of that image. And then we got this stuff. Okay, but it needs to describe this first part. Yeah, this is step 1. Okay, step 2, make it for each one. Okay, so we're going to see basically if that works. Let's take a look at what it generated to see if it makes sense. So it's like make abstract art in the style of Kandinsky, inspired by this image. And then it says that is using Kandinsky's style there, but it doesn't include the general description of the thing, which is here. If you take a look at that one, there should be some more details. Okay, so this is what it had, and there's more description. So we kind of need it to... The thing is that this doesn't really say, it has a Space Odyssey theme, it says. So we might want to describe it better and say that there's a man, like just rewrite that ourselves. Take what it wrote and then edit it to rewrite it better, right? So it's talking about that man being there, and then we have that link, and then we got to tell it that every single one of these needs to include this description. Yeah, and it won't be like that. So generate an artwork inspired by this image or um, based on this image as a sketch. Yeah, a reference, right? So this is a reference. So we've got this whole prompt talking about pixel art. It doesn't really, I don't think it's talking about this huge person in front of the background, right? So it's probably not written well. But we would say we want it to basically have this whole thing and then add a thing about style, either at the beginning or at the end. So we have to teach it to do it differently. That's what I'll do now is I'll tell ChatGPT to do that differently. Good. You're getting closer. Okay. Okay, so for each artist, the prompt needs to include the following text in addition to your great description of the art, of the style. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so we checked what it was. We saw that it was just kind of giving us a style each time instead of exactly what we want. So you can see that here. It's just talking about the style. Except that it does say use these different styles together inspired by this image and then make this thing based on this style. But it doesn't have anything describing what's to be depicted in the image. That's the part I would want to have, and I may manually write that part. Okay, so by asking for a variation here, that's what I did. We're gonna see if that works. So let's just see how that worked out here. Okay, so make one by Kandinsky based on this image as a reference sketch. Okay, it's following my instructions. But then the part after it is only talking about the style. Abstract, Kandinsky. Notice that it doesn't say what I said to do, which is this, like what we want it to depict. So we need it to have that. So then I'm gonna give it to it in a different way. Okay, not exactly. Okay, so this time it's gonna say 1 equals this. Okay, and then 2 is this. Okay, and 3 equals the style that you create for each one. Your description of the style of each artist or combination thereof. Okay, so the part that they did, that description section, right? There. Yeah. So the earlier time we said that, right? Okay. This time I said, give me output in the format of placeholder 1, 2, and 3, where 1 is this. I want it to be exactly this text. Not following that instruction, but simply that text. 2 being this part, which was that description that it wrote for our thing, which we will write ourselves. So we can pause and rewrite that, and then I can tell it that again with this part written by me. And then 3, what it generates as what it's already been doing recently for each of those artists. So we'll see if that actually works. This is kind of silly like that. It's It's got to do it without the 1, 2, 3, but it may work. So I pasted that one in there to see how that works or how it looks. There, section 1, section 2, and section 3. Okay, so I'll put that in, but we will do the same thing, but we won't have it say 1, 2, and 3 in the output. Right? So I'll say like very good, just don't put those in. That's the only change we want. Yeah, it's putting in the literal part. I don't want that part literally in there. Yeah, each of those, 2 and 3. We only want the variables. Okay, see if that clarifies it. So it does look like it's doing that, so that's going good there. We'll test it. It says it can't validate the link though, so we're kind of stymied. We'll probably just try it another day. So here's what I have without the 1, 2, and 3, labeling where those paragraphs are, right? Okay, so the thing with that link is we'll use the shortened version of the link instead, right? The one that we already have, which now I don't have here. I'm just checking that shortened link. Yeah, from the notes we got out of Discord, right? Out of ChatGPT. I mean, out of like Midjourney. So we want to put the same thing in, but with that link. So I'll try it, and then if so, well, we can still. Yeah, I mean, just basically that change that. Okay, it's looking like it's doing the right thing, so we're gonna just try these. Just try imagining those now. It's not working right now, so I'll have to try it another time because I'm just copying and pasting these out of here and imagine them, and it's simply not working, even though it looks like it would work. And so each one of these is supposed to have a similar thing about Odyssey, and then a part at the end about the style, Okusai. So theoretically that should be working, but it's not, so then we'll leave it for another day. And with rewriting it, that's something I can do because we don't need technology for it. So I'll just rewrite my description of this one. So, and when we asked for that, let's see here. We want to just kind of rewrite that a different way. We don't have to start from scratch because I asked for it already, and this is what I got. Let's see if this was useful. So that's what it basically did there. So it's like a space odyssey, is it? Okay, that's this one. Okay, it doesn't have to be a space odyssey. Okay, so a style of an odyssey with artistic mastery, vibrant colors, an immersive panoramic view featuring pixelated characters. Okay. Well, the whole thing is pixelated though, right? But we have a character. Okay, so this protagonist character, right, based on Odysseus. Better look that one up. Okay. And it says cosmic landscapes, stars, nebulas, intricate detail in the artistic technique. Okay, well, I don't need that. A sense of adventure, wonder, and exploration. That's good. Characters can be pixelated and distinct. It's just one character. It has intricate patterns and details. It should have a panoramic feel. It's repeating what it already said there. transports the viewer into a cosmic journey. Okay. Now it's something about on the ocean. Well, we can just say ocean, or a different way of saying that, like nautical. Because remember, I got rid of Space Odyssey up there. Nautical journey. The colors should be vibrant and intense, with a mix of dark backgrounds and bright cosmic elements. Architectural elements. And then style should capture the essence of this artwork here. Okay, that's probably fine. Okay, so the style should capture this. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm saying that the design should also. Okay. Yeah, of the this is the reference one. Okay. That's it. This may work better because we're talking about this character based on Odysseus. We can also be more specific. We could have maybe asked ChatGPT to rewrite that. We definitely could have also. But we can do that here also if we want. But we'll also just be able to try it. So we can be more specific about him too. So the character. Right? Okay, so strong and inspiring character. And imposing or commanding. Okay. So we'll just copy and imagine that prompt. We would want the same thing with different styles. And if we were to say, the thing is, this has stopped working, right? Because I tried this and it stopped following the link. It said we don't want to like validate the link. It's like I put it in too many times. It's like can't validate the link. Then I tried the shorten link and it's like, oh, I can't do the job. It's just basically ignoring me, right? So I'm like, oh, another day, right? If it works, it's fine. Maybe the prompts I was putting in were not creative enough, right? And so it stopped working for me. So then we had to mix it up, switch it up. We can see if it will then allow us to input this and add the other styles to each one. We can do that ourselves manually, right? Or we can ask ChatGPT to do it, but we got to tell it to use this description here and have the other ones in there.